or indirectly reveal any matter as shall come to my knowledge in the discharge of my duties and committed to my secrecy. So help me God.
Major points. Then I addressed I made the State of the Nation address. And then on the budget, I also made some remarks. So my office will print those out and give them to the ministers so that we don't just go on talking. But I just want to congratulate the ministers for being elected. The two of them went through the election, Cheptoris and Chakulaga. And on Umrul Mukasa, we agreed that he leaves some other Waruri to come up, and we shall sort out. It was as by agreement. So I want to congratulate you, all of you, and we'll go for a group photograph. The speeches which I made are there. They will give them to you and we'll read them. Thank Keita Bon. That is for my Sabine group. Wherever they know, this is the Near East here. There is the Far East and then the Near East. And then muno, like Banyoro.
Now into some sad news. A border rider has committed suicide in Masanyalaze parish of NAJJANANKUMBI, a Kampala suburb. Residents found the border rider's body hanging in the middle of the main entrance door to his house with a rope tied around the neck. However, causes into the act of committing suicide remain unknown as police investigate circumstances that might have led to the suicide act. However, as Ivan Juko reports and confirmed reports indicate that the deceased might have committed suicide due to the increasing rental bills. Take a look.
35-year-old man known as Godfrey Dixon Kasita, a border rider and a resident of Masanyalaze zone in NAJJANANKUMBI, committed suicide using a cloth. The body was found hanging with a tight cloth around the neck at the bow of the main entrance of his house. The cause of the death is associated with the too much pressure his landlady was exerting on him to pay rent. The landlady was identified as Irene Nabuma. Evidence on his clothes indicates that the deceased first took poison before he resorted to hanging himself alive, according to a neighbor who often waits for him. Residents and the area leaders who are in a sorrowful mood remain puzzled about the latest committing suicide.
Ya muntu abadde anyumya naffe wano buli kaseera tutuula naye awo
nsaba nti bw'ofuna ekizibu ku mutima nze nandibadde mbuulira omuntu funako omuntu gw'obuulirako ku kizibu asobole okukkakanya ekikubeera ku mutima.
However, the chairperson of NAJJANANKUMBI 2, Hussein Abdi, appealed to landlords and landladies to refrain from pestering tenants to pay rent on gunpoint during the lockdown, where majority of the people are jobless.
Bafunye complaint nyingi nnyo ku batuzi nti baba goba muki nyumba.
The body was taken to Mulago Referral Hospital for post-mortem, and the deputy police spokesman, Kampala Metropolitan Luko Wesjire, said the investigations for the cause of the death are underway.
Investigations have started right away to ascertain the circumstances that led to this alleged suicide, and whether he committed suicide or not.
In another development, passers-by and those working around Bakuli Bukesa traffic lights along Hoima Road protested after a border rider, Geoffrey Tumuhire, was knocked and died instantly by a careless driver. According to the violent crowds, the late riding a motorcycle with a registration number UFA 380B was knocked by an overspeeding car with a registration number UBK 565D. The driver of the vehicle drove off the scene after the incident, tempting them to block the road until a police patrol cabin was intercepted, and he carried the body away to the city mortuary.
We have also ascertained that after the accident, the driver of the motor vehicle tried to run away. He was chased by a few riders, border riders, who later on informed police, and police joined them, and this vehicle was intercepted. We have since recorded statements from eyewitnesses who were there when this accident happened, and we're also going to help ourselves with using CCTV footages to ascertain the whole issue behind this accident.
Ivan Joko, UBC News.
Well, in these tough times, there's so many other things that are killing people other than COVID-19, and that is depression and suicide as well. So, of course, to people living today, don't keep things to yourself. Share with one another. A problem once shared is half solved. May his soul rest in peace. Now, 2 suspected robbers have survived being lynched by angry residents in BWERA town along the northern bypass. Now, as Saddam Mubale reports, the suspects wanted to rob a medical doctor who had boarded a motorbike. Unfortunately, the vigilant residents intercepted the suspected thugs and foiled their mission to rob the doctor. Let's have the details.
The fruits of reaping where they had not sown. Attempts of 2 suspected thugs who had waylaid on a medical doctor who had boarded a motorbike collapsed on its weight in the Kampala suburb of BWERA. This time round, the vigilant residents had read the movements of the suspected thugs, like the biblical proverb of 40 days of every thief says indeed the 40 days had reached. These hotspots by angry residents justify their anger. Finding themselves on the wrong side of the enraged residents, these 2 suspects who survived lynching by an angry mob in BWERA along Northern Bypass, their intentions were to rob a medical doctor who was moving on the motorbike.
Bazze bagoboli abesoli dokita kitegera ne bagalo nyakula esimu oli mukuba kubaka kokola ne pichi nezikola ki nezigwa wane waffe kanya basitukiramu bamukube ki ekikonde abukira pichi yono wamalo jibukira nengamba abantu bana yababbi ngona unconscious takatachategera kati oluzemu amangizi nagamba simu yange nchaji nakuva badde bajinyakula.
In the scuffle, attempts to escape the angry mob turned out difficult. One suspect resorted to biting a charged resident, but the move could not help.
Anumya bulumya ntese kumanyonga mufirako kati olunumya nze ne mutana asale kubona dduka.
The suspects were whisked to a nearby furniture workshop for a game plan end of their life, but thanks to a police that moved in on a rescue mission. According to the victim, who was only identified as Musao, the gangs first distracted the driver of the border
UBC News Tonight. Now, the National Planning Authority has projected an increase in COVID-19 cases if the lockdown is lifted. In a projection model released on the 26th of July 2021, the planning body foresees an increase in daily cases at 500 if the country is fully opened up. The authority's executive director, Dr. Joseph Muvawala, however, says maintaining a lockdown will reduce daily cases to about 30 in the next 28 days. Henry Okurut with a report.
The week starting 25th to 31st July 2021 is projected to record a total number of 2,158 new cases of COVID-19. This figure is likely to increase to 2,353 in the following week, starting from 1st to 7th August 2021. This according to the National Planning Authority COVID-19 projection model. Internal factors continue to be the dominant contributors of the new cases in the country.
It is already indicating to you, it's a mirror. It shouldn't be fought by people. When a mirror tells you are ugly, it is God who made you ugly. It is not the mirror. So this model is simply telling you that by the time the president is going to address, we project that the cases will be stagnating above 300. And from a health perspective, 300 is a very big number.
The increase or decrease in the figures will be dependent on the containment measures taken in the next 28 days.
Now, supposing you allow people to start moving, the 300 can easily, and the model is projecting, double in 2 weeks. That's what the model is saying, that if we just open up the country, the way Ugandans are clamoring that the president should open, just open everything on that very day of Saturday, 2 weeks later we'll be back.
These projections raise concerns on which direction Uganda should take as the 42 days of lockdown nearly end.
The question is, if we open up fully, the economy will not die. People will die. And people are more important than the economy, frankly. Although the economy works for people, you need people to have economies. Now, if you don't open up at all, people will not die because the numbers are going down, but the economy will have a serious challenge, the way it is now.
On Tuesday, a section of members of parliament and some social activists expressed divergent views on what government should do after 42 days.
There are areas that we can loosen a bit to say maybe this category can resume working, because even the economy, it is collapsing, it is suffocating. People who are supposed to be paying taxes are not working. So we need to look at this and hit a balance when we are doing the extension.
In UK, they lifted it, I think, like a week ago. It's shooting up again. So it's terrible. I don't know. I think another thing we should learn, how can we survive with COVID?
So, as the president comes to speak to the country on Saturday, will it be full opening up, partial relaxation, or extended lockdown? Henry Okurut, UBC.
Gulu District city residents and leaders believe that the 42 days COVID-19 lockdown has helped the region stabilize and ultimately reduce COVID-19 cases. Gulu District Acting Health Officer Dr. Kana Kenneth says in the week the lockdown was pronounced by President Museveni, the average weekly infection rate has gone down from 566 to 80 to date. However, they believe that the curfew, social and travel restrictions should be relaxed. Details in this report.
As the countdown to President Museveni address on Saturday starts, residents and leaders in Gulu acknowledge that the 42-day lockdown saved many people from the COVID-19 pandemic.
I personally believe, lockdown played a great role because people were very defiant, I would say defiant, and they were very unaware of the seriousness of this disease, and lockdown brought people to the mood.
Pastor Peter Obina, an opinion leader, calls for the prioritization of the standard operating procedures.
One should not wait until soldiers and police officers move around in order to comply to simple laws. Ugandans should begin to be law-abiding even without the police or soldiers around. Because we see in Switzerland, you don't see soldiers, but people are compliant.
Mego Jole Leka and Reveal says restrictions on transport have been a major factor in reducing the COVID-19 cases since the lockdown was instituted.
Challenges was the public transport, which was a big issue, and that is where there was a lot of congestion. So on the positive side, the lockdown also reduced. Now actually we hardly hear of people dying of COVID-19.
The Gulu District Acting DHO, Dr. Kana Kenneth, says both the district and city have seen average weekly cases reduced by over 400.
Admission rate has also lowered. Before lockdown, in the two referrals, in the two treatment centers we have in GULU, there were a total of 64 cases. But right now, as I talk, we have only 22.
However, the death rate has remained at the same level of 10% a week, and it's currently at 7 patients succumbing to COVID-19 per week. In his view, the curfew should be maintained, and he still has reservations on the opening of transport, but schools can be opened in phases.
It should still be maintained, especially the curfew. It should be maintained. And in my view, things like happening places, the bars and the disco halls and such related areas should still remain closed.
GULU has recorded 3,270 confirmed cases to date, 111 total cumulative deaths, and 119 active cases as of Tuesday, 27th July. The Pentecostal Bishop James Okan notes that it has been economically devastating, and although he says the lockdown helped slow down the spread of the virus.
A few classes should go back, like those semi-candidates, so that we keep the trend going. There is no way. God did not create us to pray from homes. God made his church to be a fellowship. That's why.
The acting DHO, Dr. Kana Kenneth, calls on the country not to relax and vaccinate the target population.
High Court Civil Division has declined to grant a certificate of urgency application filed by 75 National Unit Platform supporters. While delivering his ruling, Judge Boniface Wamala said in issuing such an order, this will leave it open to others to lodge such applications in courts, which can affect the limited operation of the court at 10% to handle urgent matters during this lockdown. Deborah Namamonde with more.
Following their arrest, charge and remand by different military courts to different prisons for now 8 months, over 75 National Unit Platform supporters dragged the Attorney General, the Commissioner General of Prison and OC Chitaria Maximum Security Prison to courts of law. In filing this application in High Court Civil Division, they informed court that since they have been on remand without trial, this has violated their rights to fair hearing and protection to personal liberty. The accused legal team also filed an application asking court to urgently hear this application, which application Judge Boniface Wamala declined to grant.
Under the law, the mere act of charging persons in the court-martial is not illegal per se. The legality of the matter depends on the facts and circumstances of each case. In the circumstances, my finding is that the legal issues raised in Miscellaneous Clause 221 of 2021 can be properly handled by the trial judge when the country opens up. The application is accordingly disallowed.
Judge Wamala said there are many Ugandans who fall in such category, but courts at the moment are only attending to urgent matters to avoid breach of the COVID-19 standard operating procedures set by Ministry of Health.
And many persons in prisons have not been tried in time owing to the slowed operations of the courts occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic. If the courts were to open its doors to all the persons in this class, the limited operation of the courts at 10% would not be able to handle, and it would water down the purpose of the window left to handle really urgent matters.
However, the ruling was in bad taste of the National Unity Platform legal team.
So are you going to allow rights to be violated in the name of we are fighting COVID-19? Or are we fighting COVID-19 on one side of oppression and suppression? So I think that is being one-sided, and I think COVID-19 should not be a justification.
WAMED contains that for court to decline to grant this application is a continuation and violation to the rights of the accused persons.
If I can effectively investigate, I can effectively arrest and effectively charge and remand, then I can effectively hear and either release or convict someone in time.
The 75 National Unity Platform supporters who are on remand were arrested during 2020 campaigns from different parts of the country. In the military courts, some were slapped with counts of wearing red berets, which is alleged to be a property of the Defence Forces. Deborah Namamonde, Nantongo Rebecca, UBC News.
Now in more news, High Court Civil Division has halted all ongoing investigations conducted by State House, Anti-Corruption Unit and Uganda Police Force into the matter against Masaka High Court Registry Sisi Kauma Mudasi. In delivering this ruling, Judge Musa Sekana, the trial judge, said by conducting such investigation, it's a threat to Sisi Kauma Mudasi's constitutional rights. Masaka High Court Registry Sisi Kauma Mudasi is facing charges related to fraud when he allegedly defrauded Makerere University over 3.5 billion shillings, among other allegations. Take a look.
Masaka High Court Registrar Sisi Kauma Mudasi was interdicted on 24th June 2021 by the then acting Chief Registrar Tom Chemtai, who accused her of 3 offences, namely producing poor standard work, conducting herself in a manner prejudicial to the image and dignity and reputation of service, contrary to the Judiciary Service Regulations of 2005. It is alleged that Registrar Sisi Kauma Mudasi conspired with lawyers Okleyo Mugisha and Martin Olishamba, Rama Engineering Company Director Julius Mugambaje, to defraud Makerere University over 3.5 billion Ugandan shillings, among other allegations, which case was investigated by the Criminal Investigation Department. However, it was alleged that the same case was investigated by State House Anti-Corruption Unit and Uganda Police Force. The parallel investigations were objected by Sisi Kauma's legal team, who filed a suit in courts of law, challenging the double investigations. Judge Musa Sekana, after perusing both sides' submissions, was pleased to grant the application, saying that the actions are threatening Registrar Sisi Mudasi's constitutional rights.
The argument by the police was that they are empowered under the law to arrest and prosecute anyone. The judge disagreed with that position and found that it was necessary to stop them in their investigations.
Fred Mwema, lawyer representing Registrar Sisi Mudasi, says the ruling was timely.
Our client has been on the run because these people have come several times to look for her. So it's a big relief. It's a very big relief that the court has stopped the police.
Mwema says he sees no need for State House Anti-Corruption Unity and Uganda Police Force to carry on the investigations in this matter, since the acts of indiscipline by any judicial officer can be handled by the Judicial Service Commission.
Now in this case there is already a complaint against the judicial officer in the Judicial Service Commission. So there is no reason why police again and the State House Anti-Corruption Unit should come to investigate and arrest her.
In another development, Buganda Road Magistrate Court Bifasumani Muhumuza has charged and remanded Aaron Sidibaleka, alias Bishop, and a one Judy Kalanzi, with counts of obtaining money by false pretense and one count of conspiracy to defraud. However, they have all pleaded not guilty to the alleged offences.
In the district of Kampala, with intent to defraud, you obtained 386,734,500 shillings from a one Muniala Freds under the false pretense that you are going to sponsor bursaries to the youth, vulnerable children and orphans, something that you allegedly did not do.
Prosecution led by Counsel Mugisha Peter, after charge, informed the court that inquiries are still ongoing in this matter, thus asking court for more time.
So basically it has not been good, but however, we want to inform all the people that we shall take efforts to see that Bishop is released even before the 16th of August as court has decided.
Magistrate Asmani Muhumuza adjourned this matter to 16th August 2021 for mention. Deborah Namamonde, Nantongo Rebecca, UBC News.
We've cut and reduced our MTN Momo withdrawal rates. Now you can withdraw mobile money at the lowest rates. You also get MTN Century Points when you deposit, send, and withdraw MTN mobile money. Visit our Momo agents countrywide and withdraw mobile money at our reduced rates from 1st May 2021. Everywhere you go, MTN.
Echa COVID-19 chijja kugwa only if we stay at home, observe physical distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly, or get vaccinated now.
Therefore, understanding this model. Hey, excuse me, lady. Who do you think you are? A queen?
Hey, haven't you heard? Get Airtel Chillax bundles and browse like a queen.
Get Airtel Chillax bundles that do not expire and browse like a queen or king. Dial *175# or use My Airtel app.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Welcome back to UBC News Tonight. I'm Lorraine Masika Kazimoto and Elizabeth Nakakoni on Sign Language. Now with some exciting news, Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, then Uganda Television, is celebrating history today, being the first East African country broadcasting images in colored on the 28th of July 1975. This was achieved after Uganda's former President Idi Amin Dada had a maiden visit to Zanzibar in March 1975 and saw the national broadcaster was broadcasting in color. Now this challenged Amin. When he came back to Uganda, he ordered UTV head of engineering Babaraza to write quotations for procurement of machines that would broadcast from black and white to colored. Our reporter Helen Gizamba visited Ali Oduka, who worked as the news coordinator at the time, and shared with her what the experience was like after the transformation. Let's have this comprehensive report.
Broadcasting Corporation started way back in the early 1950s, but at the time, television broadcast and the output was always in black and white. The turning point of Uganda television broadcasting from black and white, monochrome, to a colored picture was in 1975, when former Uganda President Idi Amin, who had paid a courtesy visit to Zanzibar and found the island semi-autonomous country, was broadcasting in color. At the time, Uganda was in preparations to host the Organization of African Union Conference, or AU, that was due in July 1975. Amin ordered the procurement to the machines. Until then, Uganda Broadcasting Corporation has not moved back. Ali Oduka, who was a volunteer at UTV as a news coordinator, was around and shared what the experience was like.
In 1975, I was a student, but at the same time doing volunteer work at UTV as a news coordinator. And when Uganda got color television, I happened to be there. The whole story of the color television began in March of that year, 1975, when the then President Idi Amin visited Zanzibar. And he was surprised to find out that in Zanzibar, they were transmitting in color. The excitement was great because now everything had to change from monochrome to color, and even the programs that we had in the library had to change drastically. Everything changed. The excitement was great because everything, all of a sudden, everybody was watching TV, color TV. But the only thing is that in Uganda by then, most people did not have color television. There were very few. And so some companies which had the clout started importing color TVs. And slowly, Uganda progressed with the color television up to date.
He says UTV at the time had cameras known as Bolex that used to stream films. Unlike today, where UBC has 80% of local content, Oduka says at the time UTV had a good working relationship with a European-based TV station that used to give them content.
Luckily enough, Uganda Television had a good working relationship with Transtel. And Transtel just used to send catalogs of the various programs that they have on pneumatic tapes that they sent to the station, and the station then had the onus to pick out what programs they liked to have. And the programs were exchanged for free. We did not buy them. They were given to UTV free of charge.
He also shared unique challenges that UTV used to go through to ensure the viewers got every program at a timely basis.
UBC then had very few and limited equipment, but it made the best use of them.
Duka says Uganda's broadcasting houses today focus on live broadcasts and studio interviews instead of focusing on creating their own content, like having feature stories.
Documentaries are there, but they're still very few. They're still very few. And yet this is the time for most of the producers to think outside the box. Don't go and just do live broadcasts, because those live broadcasts are not yours in essence. There's somebody who has organized it for you, you're just transmitting it. But need something which you sit down, write your script and go and shoot. There's so many things happening in Uganda here. Development communication is one aspect which very few stations I see are taking up.
Ali Oduka volunteered from 1975 till 1982 when UTV approved him as a full-time staff. Today, UBC boasts of state-of-the-art digitalized studios, full HD cameras, satellite masts with 11 regional radio stations, live units and an outside broadcast van. Reporting for ABC TV News, Helen Barbara, Jizamba.
Thank you, Helen, for that story. Well, police have impounded over 400 bags packed in 50 kilograms of sugar from Natural Village, Rupa Sub-County, Moroto District. The seizure followed intelligence tip-offs that singled out some people involved in changing sugar manufactured by Ugandan sugar companies in Atiak and Mayuge to Kenya West and Butali Sugar Company bags, all Kenyan companies. However, the intention is associated to causing financial loss to the Ugandan government and invasion of taxes. Details in this report.
After obtaining intelligence clues that a group of Ugandans were changing Ugandan manufactured sugar from Atiak and Mayuge factories to branded sugar bags of Kenyan sugar companies of Butali Sugar Millers and Kenyan West, the anti-smuggling unit mounted an operation in which it impounded over 400 bags of sugar in Rupa Sub-County in Moroto District. Each of the sugar bag weighed 50 kilograms.
About 497 bags of sugar. Then when they got to Nakiroro, the buyers started changing sugar from the original bags to the Kenyan bags of the Kenyan sugar factories, which is an offense. That's counterfeit. That's why we swung into action and have impounded the sugar. We are taking it to the police station for safe custody as we continue with inquiries as police.
However, eyewitnesses who spoke to UBC said the smuggling business of Ugandan sugar was a new phenomenon in Moroto.
Then the second I saw it, then yesterday they brought now this very cheap, change cut the other bag of Kenya, same bag, same like that. Brought me from Moroto to here to work, but I have no bargain with him, but I work here, and even I don't know more about that business that they have run.
What? Moroto District Police Commander ASP Barugahare said that they are going to notify the state attorney about the impounded sugar bags following the absence of the owner, who is suspected to be on the run after the incident.
Then we shall forward the file to state for legal advice and then court later.
However, the problem of counterfeit products remains a major challenge in the Karamoja sub-region.
It will be a diplomatic issue since the sugar in the process of changing it from one bag to the other bag, it can get adulterated, and therefore when it reaches in Kenya and people consume it, it can even be a health hazard. So when the Kenyan government gets to know that initially this sugar was from Uganda, it will get diplomatic tension.
I'm Nafka Farida and Moriniga.
The Prime Minister Robina Nabanja has urged Ugandans to stay calm and wait for the presidential address, which will give further guidelines and on the easing of the lockdown. Nabanja was addressing the media in Kampala. Benediga with more.
To inform you that today we have made 40 days in lockdown. When the country is under lockdown, tomorrow we shall make 41 days and Friday will be 42 days. And therefore, I believe the President will address the country on Friday. The President may address the country on Friday. I think those who had put the date of Saturday knew that the 42 days will end on Saturday because that's the date. But will end on Friday night, that is at midnight. And therefore, if the President decides to address the country on Saturday, that means all the SOPs, all the directives that the President made on 18th of March will then end after his address on Saturday. So I am directing on behalf of government that the country will be observing the curfew time and any other directive the president made until the time when the president will address us. But I believe the president may address us on Friday if changes are not yet made. Thank you so much, my colleagues. Thank you so much, the people of Kakumiro. May God bless you all.
Over 45,000 flood-affected persons on the shores of Lake Albert are appealing to the Office of the Prime Minister to also consider them with cash relief as their living conditions get worse every day. Details in this report.
Lake Albert began experiencing floods in April 2020, and the waters have moved for over 2 to 3 kilometers from its original level, displacing hundreds of families in the districts of Bulisa, Nwaya, Hoima, Kagadi and in Toroko. Musa Asaba, the Atiaba Town Council LC3 chairman, says over 10,000 people were affected in Butiaba and they have turned into beggars. Asaba and the residents are appealing for the government relief aid.
We turn to be beggars, we have no toilets, where to sleep is also a problem. If you move around, you get other parts sleeping under the tents, others under these small grass thatched houses. We really urge that and plead the government if possible. They also come intervene. They also watch that the Nabanja Honorable has been doing other areas. Also we need such support to come.
Wabayo buyambi ngobwa kasente kubanga emmere nga bwe tufunye neva tuzifunye naye n'akasente keetaagisa abasigaza mayumba rent bajongeza nnyo.
The people who were displaced by the floods say that they are facing attacks from crocodiles and hippos that have invaded their areas because of the continued floods.
Again, also the hippos and the crocodiles also extended, and I'm very sure because of the flood, their multiplication increased. That there are very many crocodiles and hippos. Some are even spending 3 days outside Mosok, the hippos. So we are worried of our lives and our kids because kids are hard to be controlled. We would urge if government possible should come in and push those animals back. And
amazing kakejura ati egonye nazo ziongera kusembera mu mezi magufu abana nibazana ati kumubana kuzana gonye nabakuru bakutaha amaizi nazo denzi bakwata.
However, a section of elderly, child-headed families and people living with HIV and AIDS have been given relief items from Lake Albert Children, Women Advocacy and Development Organization with support from ELIX.
tukatero amaizi na ya corona nayo biraho so kama rwanga bongera mukisa bini manyire bya
baina kwerinda akuwa abantu hura ngo abantu bandi okenda garukayo mu maizi ngo gatandikire ukendera gaha gakyali so ulikira radio.
Meanwhile, the District Health Officer, Bulisa, Dr. Nelson NAJJANANKUMBI, says immunization has reduced to 60% due to the flooding, and this might lead to an increase in other diseases. Growth Networks Uganda Limited, in partnership with another non-government organization, NAJJANANKUMBI, have offered food relief to people of Masaja in Makindye Division. As John Barnes Sentiment reports, the relief targeted people with disability and the elderly.
More than 200 people have benefited from a food relief orchestrated by Growth Networks Uganda Limited of Masaja Makindye Division through its partners, NAJJANANKUMBI.
Homes you have visited, there are several orphans, young children, others have lost their parents, others are single mothers, Others are renting, others have nowhere to sleep, and have no resources. So we ended up sorting out ourselves, working with different institutions, approaching various until we got an opportunity where we are able to get this good partner, the Haba na Haba Food Bank.
This is the second offer by Haba na Haba Food Bank, and this after sustained efforts to reduce food wastage, which they store in hubs and utilize in times like these.
That is wasted is more than the people who go hungry. In the world, it's spread that 820 million people go hungry, and one over 4 people are malnourished. So that's why we came out as a food bank to see that hunger is reduced. Hunger is one of the SDGs that the world is trying to intervene in.
The latest offer will benefit people, especially elderly and people with disability, at 37 locations including Nakawa, Naguru, Makindye, Kisenyi, Nalukorongo and Rubaga.
Tulina essanyu kulaba ntufunye abateesiteesi abasobola okudduukira abakadde baffe era nfunye nga bwe nsobola okulaba neegatta ku kibiina kino. Njagala nnyo okwebaza nnyo abateesiteesi ne bannaffe abavujjiridde ekibiina kino.
The relief is a brainchild of Haba na Haba that works closely with United Arab Emirates and many other partners.
It is very humbling because there are very few people, when they have enough, very few people remember to give. So we are humbled because somebody from abroad has thought about Uganda.
It's an assortment of maize flour, rice, sugar, salt and many others, estimated at about 25 kilograms and able to feed 5 people for at least 1 month.
Now to some rather bizarre news. Residents of Choga village in Bukunzo West, KASESE district were in great shock today after finding out that a 5.5-month-old baby surfaced on a bed after being buried the day before. Now thousands of people spent the whole day at a home of Butramao Yenga Yenga after hearing that the baby had been buried and had resurfaced again. Details in this report.
Eliza Mbambu, aged 40, and a wife Yenga Yenga on Monday night, while in Handiro village, had a miscarriage and her family transported the fetus for a decent burial in Choga. According to the family members, the fetus, wrapped in bedsheets and stashed in a box, was laid to rest in a 3-foot grave at around 4:45 p.m. The family says that at around 9 p.m., while they were planning to sleep, they discovered the fetus, which had earlier been buried where it had been before.
Shalibia kwa mjomba, shalibia kwa mwasolo, so abakuluweka nabuyendre.
Today morning, thousands of locals thronged to the area to exactly see what had befell the family, and others were putting on banana leaves as masks. The father told UBC that the fetus was her own child and wondered how it came from the grave and resurfaced back where it was being laid before it was buried. Later, police at WERA Divisional Headquarters, led by the Division Police Commander ASP Joseph Ayesiga, reached the scene of crime and, after negotiations, With the family members, they decided to transfer the fetus to WERA Government Hospital mortuary.
I've told the locals that they can't exhume or they dig the grave that which one to confirm whether the other fetus was instilled in the other grave. They have decided that we have to wait for a court order, and they've taken the fetus to WERA Hospital mortuary, waiting for a court order to see whether we can exhume the other one or we dig a new grave.
However, the curious residents did not leave the home, demanding that the grave should be opened so that they ascertain whether the one who was buried on Tuesday was still in the grave. At 2:10 p.m., the area local council chairperson, Adinan Mohindo, told the mourners that he had received a call from WERA police authorizing the family to open the grave and see if the body was still inside. By mere look, the grave was not tampered with because the fresh soils and the flowers that were placed on the raised grave were still intact. For about 35 minutes, two locals who braved to remove the soils from the grave reached the box containing the fetus. They started removing the small-sized logs and dry banana leaves until they reached the box. They carefully opened the box and discovered one bedsheet, a white polythene paper, and a dark blue skirt, only without fetus, according to the chairperson, LC1 of the area.
For people to sleep, but in that course, they found a dead body on the mattress, the same dead body that was buried. So, I was shocked.
He added that although they found the grave without the body, but they buried the fetus yesterday.
Bizarre news indeed. UBC News Tonight takes a very short break, but we'll return with more stories. Keep it locked.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Uganda, today is a great day to work towards your dreams. Dial *185 *7# and select savings to save as low as 500 Ugandan shillings on regular savings or 250,000 Ugandan shillings for fixed deposits. Airtel Money Super Saver is powered by KCB Bank Uganda. Airtel Money, instant, secure, borderless. T's and C's apply.
Welcome back from the break. You're still watching UBC News Tonight. I'm Lorraine Masika Kazumoto and Elizabeth Nakakoni on Sign Language. All right, now we take a look into what is happening in our business world. South Sudan and Kenya citizens can now enjoy a visa-free entry to both countries. The visa waiver is expected to strengthen bilateral ties by easing movements of persons and labor. As Dennis Segoa reports, South Sudan had lagged behind in adopting crucial protocols of the community since officially becoming a member in 2016.
For the South Sudanese citizens and the Kenyan citizens with the requisite travel documents, it's free entry starting on the 26th of July 2021. This follows the announcement of an end of visa requirement for the two countries. In a recent regional committee meeting in Kampala, the participants from the EAC partner states cited the $50 fee as one of the major bottlenecks of integration. According to Kenya's Foreign Affairs Principal Secretary, Kamau Macharia, the visa waiver is in line with the existing integration protocol at the East African Community. Within the EAC, it's only Tanzania that had a similar arrangement with the region's newest member country.
They've fully integrated.
South Sudan's President Salva Kiir has for long pushed for a visa waiver between his country and the East African Community nations in order to facilitate trade and investment. Dennis Igor for UBC News.
Taxation and limited financial literacy is fronting the Uganda's quest for the digital economy. This is according to the preliminary study by the United Nations Capital Development Fund. The study recommends enabling policy awareness strategy. Abdul Nasir Lubwama with a report.
Micro and small-scale enterprises are the hardest hit by the taxes on the digital financial services. This is due to the remoteness and the convenience to access larger financial institutions, which is hindering financial inclusion.
I think that all these aspects need to be addressed in tandem, that there's an open digital payments ecosystem, that there are the right skills within these communities, and that we do continue to come up with solutions that are taking into account the limitations.
The prevailing market demands seem to facilitate the transition of Uganda's economy into digital, but limited financial knowledge is posing a challenge.
The lack of digital and financial literacy plays a big role in low levels of uptake and usage. And so, indeed, we have no doubt that in this case, and as Paul mentioned, indeed, levels of knowledge and awareness did factor into, people's opinions or their how much this taxation affected their usage or uptake. So,
the United Nations Capital Development Fund has assessed the impact of taxation on mobile money on the financial inclusion and its cost on digitizing the economy.
You can't have people take up and use digital platforms to improve their productivity and well-being if they don't have the literacy and the skills to use these platforms.
We are including the informal sector in any way that is possible, because as you hear the word informal, we are working in different ways. Some are going online, some are doing business undercover, some are dealing with entities that don't declare them. So the measures we put there are basically to tap them.
Amidst the transition of the economy into digital, Uganda Revenue Authority is targeting emerging digital platforms, especially informal sector, as a lucrative for revenue generation.
It is a business to them. So if it's a business to them, ultimately, we also need to do what? To tax them. We need to tax you. But maybe what we would probably propose is maybe we would start with a lower rate of the way we are taxing them. But that is also a platform.
This goes back to regulators to formulate policies geared to motivate more financial innovations in the economy's transition.
As regulators, we should not be tempted, and we should be averse to attempting to regulate technology, but rather focus our regulatory and supervisory activities and policies to the products and services that those technologies provide.
With the introduction of the 0.5% tax on mobile money withdrawals seems to have led to many users migrating to agent banking, where no comparable taxes are applied to withdrawals. Though people with lower incomes tend to have less access to agent banking, indicating that the burden of this tax does not fall disproportionately on the poor. Abdul Nasir Lubwama, UBC News.
Uganda Revenue Authority intelligence officers have arrested 2 suspects with undeclared cargo. The 2, Byakashaba Ruhanga Davis and Kwesiga Emmanuel, are suspected to have illegally brought into Uganda high-valued corporate pens valued at about 300 million shillings. During the financial year 2020-2021, enforcement recovery generated 67 billion Uganda shillings as a consequence of 5,823 seizures.
When you go to ShopRite to other supermarkets, you will find a pen of 20,000. So when we say high-end pens, are those pens that are of high value, that you normally find in high places, bigger supermarkets, bigger shops which sell books and stationery. And how do we compute? We compute per pen. When you count the number of pens that are in the box, you give each one the rightful value, and you multiply through.
Such people are a threat. Because we observed, if they can dare, if someone can dare, the forces, going out driving and I'm going to meet security personnel on the road, but someone says whether they are there or not, I'll still go. So he's not a usual person. This is someone who is hardened, definitely, who can drive fear into the public. But I just want to say that to encourage the public just to remain calm and just to be very, very observant.
The battle of smuggling. Smuggling has evolved over time. It has moved from outright smuggling to currently smuggling, while people are using documents, they are using relationships, they are using the systems to ensure that they can reduce on their tax obligation.
MultiChoice Uganda has come up with a new channel dubbed Maisha Magic Movies, dedicated to showcasing East African movies. The unique offering is inspired by and targeted primarily at the Uganda, Kenya and Tanzanian markets, but will be available across all key markets across the African continent. Zahara Bigaba with a report.
Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda. What are you talking about?
In the bid to boost local content and also invest, MultiChoice Uganda has launched a new channel called Maisha Magic Movies. The channel will be available across East Africa, and viewers will be able to watch a wide range of local entertainment content. Joan Semanda Chiza, the communications manager at MultiChoice Uganda, said they are the biggest investor in local content and are set to ensure for growth and accessibility of premium and local movie content across the globe.
We're very excited because this channel gives us the opportunity to continue to drive the story of the Ugandan content producer. It shows the world what we can deliver, and we continue to be hyper-local in our mandate as MultiChoice Group, as MultiChoice Uganda.
Colin Asimwe, the head of marketing at MultiChoice Uganda, said the launch is in response to the increasing demand for local content in East African markets.
But what does it mean for the industry? And this is why I'm so excited, is because it means that we have a chance to get some of these professionals, get them working, put them on the road, allow them to tell more stories, because they do that for the passion, but also they do it for the money. And we ensure that that sort of income flow continues to sustain them. And that's how we grow the industry together. We improve the standards. We have wider audiences. And so some of these filmmakers and these actors and actresses then spread outside the borders of where they're currently seen.
Is happy because of this. So I'm so excited because of this. And many abazanyi bafe, each and everyone agenda kuba nti afune exposure Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, because at least we tubadde so much in Uganda, but at least for now. And another thing, our quality is echuka day by day because of Magic and Magic Prime, and now we have this channel for feature movies.
Maisha Magic Movies will be a game changer within the East African market as well as the industry, where the creation of local movies has proven to be a deficit. Zahara Abigaba, UBC.
And now into sports. Uganda has finished 5th at the Sekafa Under-23 Challenge Cup in Ethiopia. Goals by Najib Yiga and Stephen Mukwala were enough to hand Uganda victory over Eritrea in the 5th place playoff at this championship, whose winner will be determined later this week. Our correspondent Peter Otai has the details.
Welcome to News Tonight. My name is Peter Tai here in the Under-23 Sekafa. Uganda has managed to beat Eritrea by 2-1 to finish the competition number 5. The good performance of Uganda today was actually showcased when the usual suspects, Yiga, Najib, together with Mukwala, scored the 2 goals for Uganda.
Gavin, Sirwada nicking that ball away with Gavin, with the delivery inside the D here, and they control Mukwala. Beautiful finish from Stephen Mukwala. He has probed and probed and probed. And that's a super goal. Very good goal there from Mukwala. His 2nd goal of the competition, making it Eritrea 0, Uganda 2.
Then on the other side, Johannes Zanu scored the only goal for the Eritreans. Now, this was actually a repeat of the 2019 final, where Uganda beat Eritrea by 3-1 in Nachivubo. But the two teams today were meeting in the classification of 5 and 6 respectively. So Uganda finishes this year's edition at number 5. Eritrea finishes at number 6. Other games that were played today in the morning, we did see Ethiopia going on to beat DR Congo by 2-1. So that's exactly what transpired today. But I need to quickly remind you that tomorrow will be a rest day and the finals will be played on Friday. The first losers match will be a battle between the losers, Kenya and South Sudan. Then the finale will be at 2 p.m. and will be a battle between Tanzania and Burundi. Tanzania have won the title 8 times. Burundi have never won the title. Those two will be fighting in the final on Friday. For UBC News Tonight, my name is Peter Tai here. It's bye-bye.
Thank you, Peter Otai, for that update. Now, UBC News Tonight has come to an end, but do enjoy more of UBC's programming. We'll leave you with weather forecast with Kutesa Mili. I'm Lorraine Masika Kazimoto and Elizabeth Nakakoni on Sign Language. We wish you a lovely evening.
Thanks for tuning on UBC. My name is Kutesa Mili, who is today's weather update. We're still having light showers in most especially northern part of our country, some parts of the eastern and along the lake shores, but mainly the eastern and the western part of our country is experiencing sunny intervals. And this is due to the rainbow that is still confined in the northern part of our country due to the moist winds that are coming from the Congo airmass towards our country, and some few moist winds are coming from the western part of our country. Tomorrow morning, we expect to wake up with light showers in the northern part of our country, some few parts of the east and along lake shores and the islands, but the rest of the country is expected to have sunny conditions. Afternoon hours, we expect to have light showers here and there, most especially in northern part of our country. The most of the country is going to experience sunny intervals. Temperature is up to 30 degrees of maximum in the northern part of our country, 29 in the Kalamoja regions, 28 in our Piti State, Kampala, Kasese with a highs of 30 degrees Celsius again, and 25 across Kabale Highlands. You is moving out of our country, touring other cities across the globe. We're forecasting sunny conditions, most especially almost in every place, with a maximum of 42 degrees Celsius across Dubai. The Hong Kong is expected to have cloudy conditions with a maximum of 31 degrees Celsius. Thanks for tuning on UBC. I remain Tessa Millie. Stay tuned and see you tomorrow.
Racist monuments are being pulled down. Streets are being renamed. Many former colonial nations are facing a moment of reckoning over the actions of their forebears. Today, we look at how colonialism has shaped our past in Africa, how it is impacting our present, and we ask what needs to be done so that the future looks different.
Black people are still trying to fight for their rights and still trying to have a space, not being second-class citizens.
The colonialists, they took everything that could benefit Africans.
We as the African people, we forgot where, I believe we forgot where we came from.
Hello, I'm Chrissy Mundo. Welcome to DW News Africa. The world seems to be taking notice of